Hello, my lovely people. It's me, Terry Chrisman, the admin of Whole Food Plant-Based Lifestyle for Beginners Facebook group. And tonight we are doing a live broadcast on hormones and your health. So I just wanted to say hello to everybody. Now, we were going to have my friend Cindy Thompson on talking about hormones with me tonight, but unfortunately she couldn't make it. But don't worry, we will catch up with her in the future, and I'm sure we're going to do something awesome with her. So don't worry about that. I have got your back tonight. So if you don't know who I am, let me just tell you who I am while we wait for people to come onto the broadcast. I have a master's in nutrition, and I am now officially board certified by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. Yay! Just got my results from my exam just a couple of days ago, and I passed the exam, so I'm very excited about that. My dad had a heart attack when I was young, and it really changed the way I look at life and health. And I want to basically help as many people as I can not die from things like heart disease and diabetes and other lifestyle-related diseases that are absolutely avoidable if you follow the right path. So I'm a plant-based nutrition professional. I'm a health coach. I help people lose weight, restore health, get off medications, have more energy, get better sleep, all the things. So if you want to know more about that, then you can just head over to fabuloushealth.net/coaching, and then I can help you on your journey. And if you don't think you need coaching right now, then just head on over to the website anyway, because there's so much awesome information in there, including over 70 podcasts where I talk about how to stay healthy on a whole food plant-based diet. So before we start tonight, the first thing I want to tell you is that everything I say in this video and in the group and in any messages I might send you or any correspondence you might get in your email is general in nature, and it should not be construed as medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm a nutritionist. This is the internet. This is not private coaching. This is not a client professional relationship. So this is for educational information purposes only, and I'm helping you from the goodness of my heart. I'm not liable for any actions you may take based on anything discussed in this group or in this live today. So if you're joining live now, please give me a thumbs up or a love heart or any kind of emoji. Wave your hand, say hello. Please put your name if you're going to type in the comments. Because of the software that I'm using, the software doesn't necessarily know who you are. So a lot of the times I'll get these comments, really fantastic things from people, and it'll say, Facebook user says, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, gee, thanks, Facebook user. But if you put your name, Lynn, hi, Terry, how you doing? Then I'll know it's from you. So there you go. So if you have any questions throughout this session, please write them in the comments, whether you are on my private Facebook, whether you are on YouTube, or whether you are inside the group, just write them in the comments. I'll be able to see them, hopefully. In fact, let me see. I've got this little special thing. Let's see how this works. Let's see if it works. Oh, look at that. If you have a question, ask it in the comments. I love technology. Sometimes it works, and then it's awesome sauce. So let's get started. We are talking about hormones tonight. Let me turn that banner off, and I'll get to the comments. No comments yet, but that's okay. What about a wave? What about an emoji? That'd be really nice. I'm just going to put my little face in front of the camera so that I'm looking right at you. Awesome. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is fat. Body fat, to be specific. Now, a long time ago, we thought that fat was inert. We thought that fat was just energy stores, that when you ate too many calories, the excess calories converted themselves to fat, and they just sat around on your tummy, your thighs, your butt, etc. Well, that's actually incorrect. Number one, it's really, really hard for the body to convert protein and carbohydrates to fat. It doesn't do it very well. So if you're one of these low carb people and you think that if you eat carbs, you're going to get fat, change that thought process right now, because that's actually metabolically, physiologically not true. What happens is when you eat fat, guess what? Your body goes, that's fat. I can store that. And it shoves it on your butt. Then it burns those carbohydrates and it burns those protein molecules, or it uses those protein molecules that you eat to make new proteins in your body. And then if it needs more energy, then it takes the fat that you just ate and it burns that. And then whatever's left stays on your butt. Or if you're eating less calories, then it burns the fat on your butt and you get skinny butt. But don't feel like I've got off track already. I can't believe it. Don't feel like if you eat carbs, you're going to get fat. But what we've found out is that fat is in fact metabolic. So fat is pro-inflammatory. And what this means is that fat, and I mean body fat, is actually the impetus of all lifestyle diseases. And I'm talking about things like diabetes and heart disease and stroke, and even things like PCOS, things like that. So what happens is body fat, there's weird things happening to my screen. Sorry about that. Body fat increases extra estrogens and androgens, depending on whether you're a female or a male. So estrogens are female and androgens are male. And it does this because body fat actually packages, when your adrenal glands and your gonads, your sex hormone producing glands, when they produce the hormones, the body fat actually packages those hormones into the hormones that you can use in your body. So the hormones that your glands produce, they are precursors, so to speak. So then your body fat helps produce these hormones, and they are the functioning hormones that your body needs. So if you are storing a whole bunch of fat, then you're going to be able to produce a lot of these extra hormones. And you think, well, does that matter? Well, yeah, it does, because you don't want these hormones like floating around in your body. So you also make this thing called sex hormone binding globulin. And this is, it's like, how do I describe it? It's like the regulator of your hormones. So if you have a bunch of hormones floating around in your body, in your bloodstream, and then you have some sex hormone binding globulin, then the sex hormone binding globulin will hang on to those hormones and just tell them to go to sleep for a while, until you need them. And when you need them, the sex hormone binding globulin will release those hormones into the bloodstream, and then those hormones will do whatever it is that those hormones need to do. But when you have too much body fat, what happens is the sex hormone binding globulin is decreased. So you have more estrogens and androgens. But look, there's mostly women on this broadcast. If there's any men listening or watching, please post in the comment, hi, I'm a dude, and then I'll make sure that I do mention the male end of the spectrum. But what happens is if you have all these estrogens floating around in your bloodstream, wreaking havoc on your body because you have too much body fat, it's because your sex hormone binding globulin is low. So if you don't want your hormones to run amok, a really good idea is to drop body fat. Now, I know that sounds easier said than done, but this is a whole food, plant-based lifestyle group, and you will probably know that if you've been in this group for a while, and if you know me, and even if you haven't, I'm going to tell you that by increasing the amount of plant foods that you eat and decreasing the amount of animal foods that you eat, and if you're eating whole plant foods such as fruits and vegetables, whole grains and legumes, you will naturally reduce your calorie density, naturally reduce the amount of calories you're eating, and you will naturally lose weight. So let's talk about estrogen a little bit. So estrogen is, why does my screen keeps flopping around everywhere, so it's really weird. Hey, can somebody give me like a hello or something in the comments, like actually in the comments rather than just press the love heart, because I'm not seeing any comments at all. And I am seeing people on the broadcast. So if somebody just wants to say hi, that would be awesome. Yeah, I'm not seeing any comments. Oh, hello. Hi, thank you. Okay, all right, it's good. It's working now. Kimberly, hi. How are you? Lovely. Oh, it's all good now. I can hear. Oh, it's good. I can hear you. I mean, I can't hear you. I can see you. So that's good. So let's talk about estrogen. So estrogen is really important in proper balance for regulating your cycle and your fertility. And a lot of people have fertility issues because they're overweight. And if you drop the weight, there's a high chance that your fertility issues are going to rectify themselves. Look, I'm not a OBGYN. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, look, lose the weight, and all of a sudden you're going to magically have a baby. I'm not saying that. But if you are having difficulties with your periods or you're trying to get pregnant and you can't get pregnant, try eating a whole food plant-based diet first. Try dropping the weight and then see what happens. Go see your doctor. Okay. The thing about estrogen is that it's high in your cycle when you're a menstruating woman, and when you become menopausal, the estrogen drops down. Now, if you are carrying too much weight or you're producing too much estrogen, it can increase a lot of problems, including polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, I just said that, fibroids. Now, fibroids are when the muscles in the uterus are overgrowing and it causes pain and muscle cramps. Adenomyosis is where the uterine cells become embedded in the muscle layer. Now, I do have notes in case you're wondering. Or endometriosis, which is where the uterine layer grows in other places, like such as your fallopian tubes or out in your abdomen. And that can be really, really painful for people. And these conditions are all caused by increases in estrogen. So how do we keep our estrogen levels to a nice level where our body is in harmony? There's a thing in the human physiology called homeostasis. And what that means is that your body is in balance. Now, your body is basically this chemical soup, and it really likes to be in really, really narrow ranges of different chemicals. So you can't have too much vitamin A, and you can't have too much estrogen, and you can't have not enough insulin, and all these little levels. The body inherently knows what those levels are. It knows how much of whatever it needs. And in some instances, if you're ingesting too much of something, your body will excrete it through your urine. So, for example, if you take a vitamin B pill and it's got 2,000 milligrams of vitamin B and you don't need it, you wee out yellow, vitamin B pill into the toilet. But other times, if it's a fat-soluble vitamin or it's a chemical or it's something like that, it will get stored in your fat cells and that becomes toxic. So your body wants to stay in homeostasis. It doesn't want lots of estrogen flying around everywhere. So the first question you probably want to ask me is, okay, why would I have too much estrogen? Why would I have all this estrogen flying around my body? Assume for a moment that you are a menstruating woman. You're not postmenopausal. Assume you're, under 45 or under 50 or whatever it is. So what happens is animal products are full of estrogen because guess why? The animals that people eat are mammals, and those mammals produce their own estrogen. And that estrogen is inherent in the meat. It's inherent in the milk, particularly, your dairy is milk from a cow. And if you are a breastfeeding woman and you are eating dairy, then those cow estrogens are coming into your tummy, into your bloodstream, and going out in your breast milk into your baby. And that's not something that you want because they're not natural to a human body. And they cause all these different things, which I've already mentioned, such as PCOS, fibroids, endometriosis, and adenomyosis, which I can't pronounce, but that's okay. Does anybody have any questions so far? Because I'm going to ask if you have any questions so far. Because if you don't ask any questions, I'll end up really quickly and the show will be over in like 20 minutes. So let's talk about dairy just a little bit. I was going to do dairy last, but I'm going to do it now. So the issue with dairy is that the estrogens, number one, they're not human. Number two, they are concentrated in your cheese. So when you think about cheese, it's just being squashed up milk without the water. So you've got the milk and then you suck all the water out of it and you put some cultures in it and you leave it in the cupboard for 3 months and it gets some mold and it turns into cheese. So whatever is in the milk first, be that hormone such as estrogen, be that bovine growth hormone, which, by the way, is illegal in or banned, I should say, in places like Europe and the UK and Australia, but not in America, or things like pus from the mastitis that the cow had, maybe some antibiotics or other medications that the cow was on. And let me tell you, all the cows in factory farming are on these drugs. Don't kid yourself. Stress hormones from the pain and suffering that their poor animal is going through every single day of its life. All those things, they're in the milk, and then you suck the water out and then you're left with those chemicals and those hormones, and all that stuff is inside the cheese. If you want to know more about why you shouldn't be eating cheese, please go to episode 18. Is it episode? Yes, it is, of my podcast, The Fabulous Health Show. You can find that on fabuloushealth.net. The other thing about milk and dairy is that lactose can decrease your fertility. And it's not the lactose per se, it's the galactose, which is one of the things that lactose breaks up into when it's digested by the human body. The galactose in milk, which is part of the milk sugar, actually is toxic to your ovaries and can result in some infertility. The other thing is that cheese is full of this substance called casomorphine. And you might guess that queso means cheese if you speak Spanish. And morphine, well, guess what that means? It means opiates. It means morphine. And the effect of the casomorphine on the human body is similar, if not as dramatic, as the effect of morphine on the human body. So not only do you get addicted to it, it releases dopamine in your brain. You want to have some more. It also causes mood disturbances and depression. Yuck, dude. Plus, it's full of mold and cow teat pus. Who wants to eat that cheese anymore? Not me. You can make your own cheese out of almonds or cashews. Look, I'm not a big fan of what I call plastic vegan cheese. You know, that processed, ultra-processed vegan cheese, yucky garbage. A lot of it is made from oil. I'm not a fan of oil in the human diet either. So if you want to have that cheesy taste, then get online, look for some recipes to make some vegan cheese and make some yourself out of nuts. There's a magnificent almond cheese recipe from this dude, and his website is called Lands and Flavors. Let me post that in the, hang on. Lands and Flavors vegan almond cheese recipe. I don't know the link, just Google that and you should be able to find an awesome vegan cheese recipe that you can spread on your toast and you can put it in cheesecakes and whatever. Okay, we talked about dairy. Let's talk about menstrual pain. My daughter suffered enormously with menstrual pain, and I wish I could have helped her. But at the time when she was a kid, I wasn't wholly plant-based and we were doing the dairy. Oh, I want to knock myself for that. So here's the thing. Menstrual pain is caused by an increase in dietary fat. And that dietary fat comes from the meat and dairy and the fried foods, and that increases the estrogen as well in the human body. Estrogen thickens the uterine wall, which causes an increase in prostaglandins, which can cause an increase in muscle cramps. So if you are suffering from menstrual cramps, cyclic problems, heavy bleeding, all that kind of stuff, and you've been speaking to your OBGYN and you can't work out what it is, before you start taking medicine, start getting rid of the fat from the animal products, the meat and the dairy, and see if it makes a difference. I always say, start from a clean slate. So if you've got an issue in your body and you can't diagnose it, or you keep going back to the doctor and they keep putting you on extra medications. Look, I had a lady who was telling me the other day, she has some issues. I'm not going to go into her issues because they're private, but all of the issues she was listing, every time she went to the doctor wanted to put her on another tablet. And she, that I can't even tell you what they are because she's probably watching. So, but what she said to me was, I don't want to go on all these tablets because all it's going to do is make me sicker and it's not fixing the problem. And she's absolutely right. The idea is you clean up your body first. And if the problem still persists after a few months, unless of course it's urgent, you need to see, intervention instantly. So for example, if you're, in danger of having a heart attack, maybe you might need your arteries cleaned out or something like that. But if you are still well-ish and your cholesterol's going up and you've got extra weight and your blood pressure's going up, rather than making the first point of call going on medications, speak to your doctor about cleaning up your diet first. Get rid of the fried food, get rid of the processed food, get rid of the chemicals, get rid of the animal products, get rid of the dairy and the fish. Don't get me started on fish. That's another podcast. And then see what happens, and then go back to your doctor and see whether or not you need to go on those medications. I have had clients that they follow my advice and they get off those medications. They get off their diabetes medications. They get off their blood pressure medications. They get off their cholesterol medications. Okay, we're getting off topic. Let's talk about menopause now, because I know a lot of the people in this group are in the menopause part of their life. I know I am. I've been postmenopausal for 12, 13 years. Yeah, I had they call it early menopause. I think I had menopause when I was 42, something like that. It wasn't very old. And I had a really easy time of it. Had hot flashes. I was vegetarian for 18, 19 years, maybe 25 years. Can't remember. It was a long time. And the only thing that was causing my hot flashes was the dairy. So when we go through menopause, what happens to our hormones is that we have a decrease in estrogen and we have a decrease in progesterone. Now, if you are still eating fried food, processed food, fast food, meat and dairy and fish, then you are going to be artificially rising those hormones, particularly the estrogen. And it's going to result in your hot flashes and your mood disturbances and all the nasties that go along with menopause. And it's going to help keep that weight on your body around your middle. And that's going to be a pain in the butt, because I know you don't want to have a fat tummy. You don't want to have a big butt. You want to be healthy and look good in your clothes. It's okay to have a little bit of vanity about your body. It's all right. Plus, it's healthy to be a little bit trimmer, a little bit less on the chunky side. So if you want to stop these things happening, there are two categories of foods that will really, really help you. The first one is veggies. Vegetables are awesome. Vegetables are full of fiber. They are full of phytonutrients. They are full of water. They flush out toxins. They are full of vitamins and minerals, and they are very, very low calorie. So they are going to help you lose weight, and they are also going to assist with flushing out all the garbage that your body may have collected over the past 50 years. The other thing that you want to do is you want to start eating soy. Now, before everybody puts their hands in the air and, soy's bad for you, it gives you cancer. No, soy is, and soy has plant estrogens called phytoestrogens. And these phytoestrogens, phyto means plant, by the way, these phytoestrogens work in exactly the opposite way to the animal estrogens. So if you are trying to combat the effects of extra bovine, porcine, or what's the word for bird? Whatever, bird estrogens, fowl, poultry estrogens in your body, then please eat soy products. Soy products include tofu, soy milk, tempeh, natto, edamame, just plain old rando soybeans. And they are really, really good for increasing your plant estrogens, and they are very, very good for helping with hot flashes and mood disturbances. So get into the soy. It's awesome. And you don't have to eat a ton of it. And I do know that sometimes, in fact, I spoke to a friend of mine the other day, and she said that she'd never really tried tofu because she was scared. And I hear you. I've never really got into okra because I'm scared. I don't even know how I would cook it, because every time I've tried okra, it sucked. So I'm not I'm not ready to run out and buy a kilo of okra. But here's the thing. When you try a new food, sometimes your taste buds don't like it. And when I was doing my master's in nutrition in 2017-18, we learn about childhood nutrition and how babies, when you teach baby to eat food, sometimes they don't like those squashed up carrots. Sometimes they don't like that mashed up pumpkin. But do you stop feeding them the mashed up pumpkin because they spit it out the first time? No, you don't, because you know how good that mashed up pumpkin and those carrots are for that baby. So what do? You keep feeding it to them again and again and again and again. And eventually, after about 15 times, their palate will accept that pumpkin. So treat yourself with respect. Treat yourself like a baby. If you try the tofu the first time and you don't like it, prepare it a different way and try it again. Don't keep eating bland old tofu from the packet with no seasoning on it, because I can promise you that's hideous. You want to go into the group, and the group is the Whole Food Plant-Based Lifestyle for Beginners Facebook group that I am the admin of. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, go into the group, click on the videos at the top. It shows you where to go to the guides, and there are tons and tons of recipe books in there, free recipe books that you can download, and then you can find some tofu recipes that you like, and you can try using the tofu in a recipe. Let me give you a quick recipe right now. If you've never ever had tofu, get a block of silken tofu, shove it in your blender. Get 2 or 3 medjool dates, the real soft and squidgy dates, and take the pips out and shove them in your blender. Chuck in a little bit of vanilla. Chuck in 2 or 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and then press blend. And you will have an awesome sauce, chocolate mousse. And if you don't like it, put a little bit more, like if it's too bitter, put some more dates in, or maybe even half a tablespoon of maple syrup. And it is fantastic. And then you go from being scared of tofu to saying, hey, I could have this chocolate mousse once or twice a week. It's pretty funky, and it's cool, and it's whole food, and it's good for you. Okay, so there, I've solved your problem with your mood swings, and I've solved your problem with your hot flashes. Oh, I got to tell you about this medicine that some doctors may try to prescribe you, and it's called Premarin. And it actually stands for pregnant mare urine, because that's what it's made out of. So what they do is they get horses and they lock them in little itty bitty tiny cages where they can't move. And then they get them pregnant, artificially inseminate them so that they're pregnant. And then every time they go to the toilet, they collect their urine and then they make this drug for you and your hot flashes. Not only is that cruel and disgusting, let me tell you the side effects of Premarin. Cancer of the endometrium, which is the uterus lining, is 6 times more for people who've been using the drug between 1 and 5 years. 6 times more than somebody who's never used the drug. And cancer for people who've used the drug for over 7 years, I can't imagine using a hot flash drug for 7 years. That's insane. But apparently people do. They are 14 times more likely to get cancer from that drug called Premarin, pregnant mare urine. No, thanks. I'm over that. Okay, where are we? We are up to, how are we going, by the way? Does anybody have any questions? You want to give me a wave? You want to say hi? You want to post a comment? Because I'm here. Look, I'm going to just press this little button here because I love it. Let's see if it works. Here we go. If you have a question, ask it in your comments. Write your name first, then write the question. How cool is that? I might leave that on for a while. Okie dokie. Next, we talked about body fat. Let's talk about your thyroid. Oh, thank you for the love heart, whoever gave me that. That's very sweet. I appreciate that. Okay, so if you have a low-acting thyroid, this can cause you to gain weight. And you can have joint issues, which are not very nice. You can be fatigued. You can have menstrual issues. It's pretty hideous. Now, not the number one. I'm going to tell you the number one reason why people have thyroid issues. The reason hello, there's a little pickle. Hello, little pickly wickly. And there's a little Elvis. Hello, little Elvis. Off they go. The reason why the thyroid doesn't work very well is because of lack of iodine. So if you don't have any iodine in your diet at all, so for example, if you are whole food, plant-based vegan and you don't have iodized salt in your diet and you don't eat any sea vegetables such as kelp or nori or anything like that, you may be a little bit deficient in iodine. We only need I think it's 1/8 of a teaspoon of iodine for our entire lifespan. So it's like a itty tiny weeny bit. I'll turn that thing off now. So if you don't have any iodine in your diet and you're experiencing what you consider to be thyroid issues, obviously speak to your doctor. Disclaimer, speak to your doctor. Then maybe you might need some more iodine. But the majority of issues of the thyroid are not iodine deficiency. They are, in fact, autoimmune issues. And that's when the antibodies in the body attack the thyroid gland. The thyroid lives here. Yep. And then it screws up all your thyroid hormones. So we don't want that to happen. And if you have autoimmune issues, so there's tons of autoimmune issues. I'm not going to list them all here, but things like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, lots of different issues. Yeah. So they are all autoimmune issues where your body is attacking itself. So what you want to do is you want to start eating foods that are immune friendly. And guess what those foods are? Anybody got any ideas? Let me look in the comments. Somebody give me an idea. What foods do you think you could eat that would boost your immune system? Come on, humor me. Doggies are running through the house. Are you having fun, little girls? They're gorgeous, aren't they? Okay, I'm going to tell you. Veggies, dudes. Veggies. Yes, leafy greens, Jen. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Veggies, veggies. Yana says celery and onions. Absolutely. Get those foods into your body. Thank you, Robin. Leafy greens. And look, if you don't like leafy greens, this is what you can do. Because look, I know kale is an acquired taste. My hubs hates kale, but little does he know he eats it pretty much every day because I shove it in his green smoothie and I disguise the taste of the kale by also shoving in some mango and some strawberries and some bananas and some cucumbers and all the rest, so that when he drinks it, it doesn't taste like grass and he doesn't hate it. You can also blend up some kale and stick it in your spaghetti sauce. Your kids won't even know it's there. And they get all the benefits of the leafy greens without actually the taste. Because I understand some people don't like the taste of grass, and that's cool, so that's fine. So if you have a thyroid issue and you are on medication, I have a caveat for you. Soy is really good for your thyroid, but it does interfere with thyroid medication. So you want to talk to your doctor, number one, talk to your doctor. Number two, you want to have your meds at least 30 minutes before you eat any soy products. Okay, and if you have Graves' disease, that is an increase in your thyroid hormone. So then what happens is you can't keep the weight on. You might have an irregular heartbeat. You might get the jitters. This is equally as bad as having low thyroid hormone. And Graves' disease is beyond my scope. Go see your doctor if you're experiencing any of those symptoms. All right, we're getting there. Diabetes. Diabetes is hormonal because what's the hormone that we have to deal with when we've got diabetes? It is insulin. So despite public opinion, and I'll tell you a little story. I was on some Facebook group, in some group, and the guy who owned the group posted, how do you get diabetes? Too much fat, too much sugar. And I said, diabetes is caused by fat. The fat, instead of being stuck on the outside of your butt or your tummy where you kind of want it, it's called subcutaneous fat. It lodges itself inside the muscle tissue and inside your liver, which is exactly where you do not want the fat. And then it mucks up the metabolism inside your body because it glues up the cells. So when you eat some food and your body breaks the food down into the individual glucose molecules, and those glucose molecules go flying through your bloodstream, and they want to go into your muscle tissue so that they can give you energy, or they want to go into your liver tissue so they can be stored for later as glycogen, which is a kind of energy store. They go to the cell, and the insulin is supposed to be the dude that opens the door. Yeah, so the cell's all locked up, and the insulin knocks on the door, and the cell opens up, and then the glucose goes in. Well, what happens is the fat, it basically clogs up the lock. So the insulin's knocking on the door of the cell, and the fat's like, nah, you're not coming in. So anyway, so that's what I said in this Facebook group. And I got to tell you, I've never experienced Facebook hatred ever before, but I experienced it a lot here not in my group, but in this other group. Excuse me, I just have to have a drink. All these morons got in the thread and started telling me I was a complete idiot and that diabetes was caused by excess sugar. And it really hurt my feelings because I was right. And of course, what did I do? I sent the scientific link. And the only person that said I was right was the guy who posted the post. So I said thank you to him, and then I left the group. I don't want to be involved in that kind of stuff anymore. So anyway, so what happens is the cells get all clogged up with fat. This causes inflammation, and inflammation is at the root of all evil. It's at the root of all disease. And then the inflammatory mediators, they actually damage the liver and they damage the pancreas. And inside the pancreas are the beta cells. And the beta cells are the dudes that make the insulin. So it's complex. There's lots going on. But if you can't get in, if the glucose can't get into the cell and the insulin's flying around everywhere, it's called insulin resistance. But then if the beta cells are dying and you can't produce the insulin, there's still glucose flying around everywhere. What you don't want is the glucose flying around everywhere. And when that happens, that's when you get endothelial damage, you get blood vessel damage, you get nephropathy, which is renal failure, you get retinopathy, which is vision loss, and you get neuropathy, which can result in amputation. So these are all the nasty things that happen with diabetes. And the hormone responsible for all this is insulin. So how do we keep our insulin levels at bay? We don't want them low. We want them, this is what we want to happen. When we eat some food, let's say we eat a banana, and banana's carbohydrate and it's got a lot of sugar in it. So we know what's going to happen. When we eat the banana, it's full of glucose because it's a carbohydrate. That's what carbohydrate is. It's a bunch of glucose molecules in a little chain. So the body chops up those glucose molecules and the glucose is flying around in your bloodstream. Then the brain tells the pancreas to make some insulin, and the insulin shoots off into the bloodstream and it brings that glucose into your muscle cells for energy or into your liver for glycogen. This is all awesome. So we have high glucose followed by, I can't do this. Hang on. High glucose followed by high insulin. Then the insulin pushes the glucose into the cell, which lowers the glucose. Then the insulin gets recycled, which lowers the insulin. And then everybody is happy. But when we've got too much fat, whoa, it's high. Yeah. Your pancreas is producing insulin and it's not letting the glucose in. So you've got lots of insulin floating around in your blood. The glucose is not getting into the cells. So you've got lots of glucose floating around in your blood. So you've just got hormones and sugar floating around in your body. You don't want it. So I'm going to ask you a question, see if somebody can answer this. If fat is the problem, in the easiest possible way, what would be a good way to reverse diabetes, to reverse insulin resistance, to get back to normal physiology where your body runs like a well-oiled machine like it should? Somebody tell me what you could do so that you didn't run into these problems. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. I'm going to put my banner back on. There it is. And I'm going to wait for a comment. Somebody tell me what would be one thing. It's really basic. If fat is the problem, what's the solution? Yana, Susie, awesome. Cut out the fat. Lose the fat. Get rid of the fat. Now, the body, when you eat fat, it stores fat. I'll say that again. When you eat fat, it stores fat. It doesn't go anywhere else except to your butt. When it needs the energy, it'll take it off your butt and it will use it for energy. So if you don't eat the fat and you need, just say you need 2,000 calories a day and you eat most of those calories from proteins and carbohydrates and an itty bitty bit from fat, because the body needs some fat to survive. Hello. So natural fat from natural foods, because every food has fat, even lettuce. Then your body will suck the fat off your butt and your tummy and your thighs and your bat wings. And you will improve your insulin sensitivity. You will improve your glucose sensitivity. And you will improve, I just whacked my microphone. And you will improve your health. It sounds simple. It is simple. It's physiology. It's physics. Eat less fat, you will be less fat. So that's the best thing. In fact, that is the first line of treatment for diabetes is to lose the weight. Get the weight off and you will improve your situation. Okay, we move on. We're doing really well. Thank you so much for everybody who is commenting. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys turning up. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you commenting and engaging. It's awesome. I love you. Thank you so much. And if you're watching the replay, hey, it's write them in the comments. I'll get to you. All right. Oh my goodness, I'm already up to 45 minutes. I was supposed to be finished by now. My husband wants some dinner. All right, here we go. Another thing that upsets your hormones is chemical toxins. And these chemical toxins can come from all sorts of things. They can come from your shampoo. They can come from your cleaning products. They can come from those itty bitty things you stick in the PowerPoint that gives off scent and fragrance. They can run havoc on your endocrine system, which is your hormonal system, and they can disrupt your hormones. So I urge you, I beg you, stop using chemical fragrance in your house. Stop using compounds that you don't know what they are cleaning your house, particularly if you have children. Go for clean, green, plant-based cleaning products. Go for essential oils if you want to waft lovely smells in your house, potpourri, whatever. But don't be putting chemicals into your home. You are breathing them in. They're screwing up your hormones. They're making your life hell. Where else do we get them? From the food we eat. There's a chemical compound called glyphosate. Glyphosate is commonly known as Roundup. If you have a house that has a backyard or a front yard and it has weeds, promise me you won't go and buy some Roundup to get rid of those weeds. Get on your knees and your hands, get a little fork and dig those suckers out, because glyphosate is in Roundup and it causes cancer. It does. Don't do it. Get rid of the Roundup in your body. There's another thing, another chemical that you want to be scared of, and it's called phthalates. Now, I've got notes here. Phthalates are used in plastics to make the plastic bendy, like water bottles you can squish, or like a hose, you can bend it. Whereas a pen, this doesn't have any phthalates in it because you can't bend it, yeah? So let me tell you what happens with phthalates. They dissolve in fat. Now, I know you're not going to eat your garden hose, but you might be heating up things in plastic containers in your microwave, and those things that you heat up, like your takeaway or whatever, has probably got some fat in it, because there's no restaurant on the planet that I know of that doesn't put oil in their food. I really hope that there is one, but I've never heard of it. And then the fat dissolves the phthalates in the plastic. And then you eat those phthalates, and your kids eat those phthalates. And let me tell you what happens. Okay, they are abundant in, by the way, abundant in fast food. They're abundant in dairy. They're abundant in cheese. They're abundant in butter and milk fat. They're abundant in meat, and they're abundant in takeaway, as well as plastic. For kids get developmental disorders, behavioral disorders such as ADHD, high blood pressure in children, and allergies. In adults, diabetes and metabolic syndrome. Do you want to know what metabolic syndrome is? Metabolic syndrome is when you have all the things. So you may not have diabetes, but you've got insulin resistance. You may not have heart disease, but you've got high cholesterol. You may not, the rest is high blood pressure. Yeah, that's it. So it's all the things: insulin resistance, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. You know, when you get your blood tests and they test you all, when you got all the things in the red, that's called metabolic syndrome. And your doctor's like, I think I better put you on metformin. I think I better put you on an ACE inhibitor. I think I better put you on a statin. And then you go home with a dozen medications. Okay, 3 medications, whatever. You go home and then you're popping these pills and you're wondering why you're getting sicker. It is scientifically proven that the pills don't fix you. Lifestyle change fixes you. The pills just maintain the status quo, or maybe stop the disease progressing further, quicker. They don't fix you. If your doctor wants to put you on pills, ask why. Ask, what can I do, doctor, to prevent me from having to be on these pills? What lifestyle changes can I make that will bring my blood pressure down, that will regulate my hormones, that will bring my blood sugar down, that will lower my cholesterol? What can I do? And if your doctor says nothing, it's hereditary, it's just your way of life, you need a new doctor, because that's just not true. Doctors don't get taught nutrition. Some of them have studied it, and those are the doctors that will tell you, you got to stop eating the fast food, you got to stop eating the meat, you've got to stop eating the dairy, you've got to start exercising, you've got to stop smoking, you've got to sleep better, you've got to talk to your friends and be, social. There's so many different parts of a healthy lifestyle. It's not just what you put in your gob. It's how you think. It's who you interact with. It's what you do with this. The whole bit. Okay, we're almost done. We are almost done. What was my last thing? Oh, I already talked about dairy. Yep, I already talked about dairy. So I'm kind of done. I've done it. 51 minutes, a bit long. Sorry. Do I have any questions at all? I'm going to put my little banner up again. There we go. If you have a question, ask it in the comments. Write your name first so I know who you are. Then ask the question. That's the Ask the Question song. I think it's going to be #1 on the Billboard charts next week. Okie dokie, I'm giving you time. You're welcome, Trisha. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate you all. Now, if you are members of the Whole Food Plant-Based Lifestyle for Beginners group, and you have not gotten, I don't have one here, a copy of my fantastic magazine, which is the Ultimate Guide. What's wrong with me? Oh, hang on. Maybe, no, pathetic. Okay. If you don't have a copy of my Ultimate Guide to Health with a Whole Food Plant-Based Lifestyle, please send me a note and I will email you one for free, or I'll send you one for a very small cost, so that covers postage and handling and printing. If you are new to the group and you haven't spent time in the group, please go to the top of the group and have a look at the 3 videos. Those videos tell you what's in the group, where you find stuff, where all the recipes are, where all the videos are. All the business is in the group. And of course, if you want private personal help from me, yours truly, then please reach out to me and I would love to help you on your health journey. Until then, I love you all. Have a magnificent Christmas or Hanukkah or however you celebrate the holidays, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.